Inkjet Printing Masterclass, Lesson 5, Colour Printing Masterclass, and this is Section 9, Submitting Yourself to Criticism. Now, submitting yourself to criticism, we're going to deal with the technical aspects of printmaking, colour printmaking, but also we're going to take this opportunity in this section of dealing with the commercial aspects as well. So we're going to touch on a few business aspects as well of the printmaking process and selling the prints for profit, and also, let's face it, we're creating images and selling images for profit. So we're going to cover that as well. Now, in your own self-obsessed world of colour print self-criticism, we'll call it, it's very easy to look at your own work and start to self-justify your own technique, your print appearance and commercial approach to your business. You may even begin to unconsciously adopt a style of printing that you consider to be all your own. Believe me, there's very little that is entirely new in this world, and you're probably copying a mixture of techniques that you admire. There is nothing wrong with this, in my view, but I think it's important that you ask yourself a few questions about where you're headed, and I'm thinking primarily about professional photographic print workers. Now, first of all, we're going to touch on the business side of printmaking. We're making a print, we're making a superb print. What's the point if we're selling it we're underselling it? So we've got to get in a situation where we've got a good balance between producing a fabulous print and selling it for the correct price. Now, who knows what the correct price is? So let's go through the points. Let's submit ourselves to some pretty hard questions. Now let's get the hardest ones out the way first of all. Are your prints commercially successful? Now I'm not saying are they nice? Do people say they like them? Are they commercially successful? Are most of them commercially successful, which means to say you sell them quite easily? Are some of them, or only a few of them? Do they command similar prices compared to your competitors? You know your competitors, and you've got to feel how much they charge for their prints. Can you honestly say that you are commanding a similar premium price for your fabulous colour prints? I have a fair bit of experience with high-end photographers in the cities around the European region, particularly London, of course. I operate just outside of London, and you would not believe some of the premium prices that our customers are able to achieve. And I look at a lot of the print workers that are just outside some of the regions, some of the cities, and the quality is pretty well similar, but the price they command is totally different. Now, the strange thing is the people and the companies that they're selling to are not that different. I think it's just the fact that they don't test their prices quite so thoroughly. But we're going to cover that. We're going to cover that. So you've got to ask yourself the question: do your prints command similar prices compared to competitors? Do only a few of your prints actually earn money? Number two, do your images fulfill properly your clients' needs? Regularly ask your clients if there's any aspect that you've missed. Number three, are you sufficiently adventurous in your print output to inspire new business? Now, occasionally you should actually work outside your comfort zone and see if your clients like it. I'll give you an example. Now, we use advertising, a very good advertising agency, and we deal with creatives all the time. Now, when I have an overall idea, I write it on the back of an envelope or a cigarette packet, and we virtually discuss it just like that. That's the idea, that's what I want to do. Now, for my my creative people to just take that idea and just reproduce it as is, I wouldn't be too pleased with that. What I expect them to do is to take that basic idea and expand on it and improve it and really develop it into an area that often I had no idea that it could look that way. And the end result, it flatters my initial idea, and of course I'm very pleased with the result, and I keep coming back because they are responsible for a continuously growing business. It's fabulous. Now, are you putting yourself in that situation where you take an initial idea, an initial client brief or a particular job and expand it beyond their initial expectations? That's a lot of what clients really want you to do. But you've got to consult with them because some may just want the basic package. They just might want the basic set of images that convey a story, and that's it. So you need to have a good two-way conversation at the early stage. So do you ever push your boundaries? Number 4, are your prints on message with regard to the product or service that you're helping your client to sell? Now, how irritating are those TV adverts which take forever to get to the point? Are your images similarly off message? That's one of my pet criticisms of TV, is when you invest a hell of a long time in following the track of an advert and you've got no idea what they're trying to sell to you, and by the time they actually get to the point, I've just lost interest. Well, there's a similar thing with actually creating images and creating prints to support a particular project, and it just doesn't seem to be connected to the client brief. Beware of falling into that trap. Now, number 5, do your prints tell a relevant story for your client, or have you lost this talent of storytelling? I'm thinking particularly of wedding photographers and social photographers. If you're getting a group of images together, it does make sense to make a story if that's what the client likes the idea of. So if you can tell a story, work it out beforehand, before the client brief, and then you've got something prepared to actually discuss with the client. Another advantage of this is that they might be just thinking of a few images, but when you give them this idea of let's say a storyboard, it will obviously involve more images. That's a bigger job. That's better profit for you. So this business of telling a story is quite something, and we do have quite a few tutorials that are going to be available to you. If you look at our last part, which is further study, we have a number of tutorials. We'll tell you where to find that in the final part, so you can learn the skill of actually telling a story with images. Now, number 6, are you charging enough for your work? This is absolutely vital. Is the selling price of your work not as eye-wateringly high as you would like? When was the last time you tested your high-end prices and achieved a really ambitious price for, let's face it, an amazing print? We're taking you now to a different level of print quality. We also want to encourage you to test your prices. Does your marketing match? Wait a minute. Do you test your print prices? We've missed one out. So, are you selling your prices? Are you setting your prices in the correct way? This means that you're constantly testing your prices. Your clients will never tell you that your prices are too low. You must check your competitors. I suggest that you keep your prices high but flexible. subject to adjustment according to the market forces that are out there. Use the usual subterfuges to check your local competitors' prices. If you don't have a file containing your competitors' latest prices, get one. It's a really important document. Now, let's go back to number 7, which I missed out. Sorry about that. Are your prints too expensive to sell in commercial volume to give you a viable business? Now, I've got quite a few customers that do exactly this. They generate large volumes of very good quality prints. They sell them in volume, and the reason they sell them in volume is they're very, very attuned to the correct price point that enables them to generate that volume. They know their business. Over the years, they've evolved the right price, and instead of, I mean, we have customers that buy literally thousands and thousands of sheets of high-end photographic paper every month. We're quite unique actually in that we cut our paper to your requirements. Let's say you've got a job for 1200 5x7s. Now, the modern inkjet printers, they can very easily print borderless to the photographic standard sizes. So if you've got a client that requires lots and lots of high quality handouts of 10:8, let's say, or even 11:17, 10:12, 5:7, 6:4s, just get us to cut the paper for you. So let's say you're buying a standard A4 or a US letter size. However many you can get out of an A4 or US letter size, we cut it down for you, but we don't charge you for that. You only pay for the quantity of standard size papers that you buy. So let's say you had a 10:8 job. We could actually cut that out for you, and we could get 2 out of here. So you'd end up, instead of a 50 sheet box of paper, you'd have 100 10/8s out of here, all beautifully packed back in the box, nicely labelled and properly. We put all the edges back in so that the edges are beautifully accurate. We cut to within a 1/10 of a millimetre of accuracy in our cutting service, which, remember, is totally free of charge. We don't charge for cutting. A little bit of sales there. So, is your business actually stack 'em high and sell 'em cheap? Well, careful with that word cheap. We sell them competitively. We've divined from the client the right price that he's prepared to pay, and then obviously we've got good business in one particular area, but then we're looking for similar business elsewhere. Because if we've got a particular niche, there's no reason not to assume that there are other clients in similar businesses or different businesses, let's face it, that can take advantage of that particular speciality that we find ourselves good at. So that's a little thing. That's setting the price correctly. Number 9. Now we're getting to the important part of the business side of criticism. Can I really say that my marketing, that terrible word marketing, but we mustn't ignore it, my marketing truly does justice to the quality of my work and my aspirations for the future of my business? Do you have the energy and drive to create really effective promotions and offers which incentivize repeat business and new business? If you're a social photographer, for instance, are you developing your local venues? Weddings happen at venues. The venues usually have an events manager or a general manager that looks after the bookings for the weddings and is in a position to recommend the local reliable photographer, social photographer. Now, I suggest that you visit these venues regularly. You know where they are, make a list of them. You visit these venues regularly, you know the names of the weddings manager or the general manager. You gradually get to have not a relationship, but you know them and you know their name. You're not in terms with them because you talk to them and visit them reasonably regularly. You even find out when their birthday is, let's say, and you send them a few little chocolates for their birthday, only a little token, nothing extravagant, because that can be construed as something else which we don't want to get into, but just a little token, just to feel that you're on the ball. So you're creating a relationship with a venue manager. Make sure your cards, your business cards and your leaflets are always on view at the venue. Now, to do this, you have to repeat visit quite a lot because your leaflets are going to be pushed to one side and something else will go there. Now, if you're really serious about developing venues, you should make a regular habit of going around your venues and making sure that your little display is always to be seen. Make yourself known. You can offer free framed prints for prominent display at the venue, showing photographs by, so you see who produced the prints, and of course your contact information there, and possibly even a little box with your business card there. That's not a bad idea that you regularly top up. You can show in these little complimentary framed prints the best backdrops that the venue offers, and that's helping the venue because it's showing off what a nice venue it actually is. Bride and groom, obviously make sure you get permission from the bride and groom. Regularly romance your best commercial clients. Now we're coming away from weddings, now we're talking about commercial work. It's all about falling in love and falling out of love with a particular photographer. So you've got to make sure that you're the people person that not only has good relationships with your clients, but you're making sure that you maintain those good relationships. So regularly romance your best commercial clients. What are they planning? How can you help? Offer free thumbnails for storyboarding, for instance. Now you can, with an existing client, you can talk to the creative person that you're in contact with, occasionally have a coffee with them, let's say, or even just phone them up and just to find out what's going on, and volunteer a little bit of complimentary help to get yourself involved in the next project. They may have a meeting. They may have a big board meeting discussing a future product. You find out about it during a cup of coffee. You volunteer to go with them and to actually go to the meeting. And you're going to take with you nice big beautiful prints, let's say of this sort of size, which in this case is 13 inches by 19 inches, of the product beautifully photographed. Remember, they may have a problem. They may have a tiny little product that they're trying to develop and they're talking about, but it's too small to see the detail. You've just come in there and you've suggested, complimentary, that you're going to produce some decent sized prints. It won't take you long, and you're going to go there and you're going to get involved in the work, because further down the line you really want to be the image maker for the whole project. Now, not only are you handing out these nice big prints to illustrate the particular project, but you find that everybody around the table, they're not looking at the actual product, which is tiny, they're looking at your prints, which has the photos by and your name on there, and you're getting your name out not just to your old client, but often this happens where you have other companies around the table and they're impressed with what they see. And of course you have your business cards in your top pocket, so that at the end of the meeting, very subtly and very low key, you just make sure that each of the important people around the table have a business card, and they can take some prints with them, no problem at all. And you've done yourself a lot of good by supporting your existing client and romancing new clients. These are some of the little tips that that high-end commercial photographers do follow. Now, you've got a situation where you've got existing clients. You've got to make sure that you don't allow them to forget you. So that takes that on to our next item 10. Do you allow your old clients to forget you? Now, if you don't have a complete and accurate old client database, create one now. Look back on your old records, look in your archives, search your old accounts. Now, a lot of them will have gone out of business, but some of them will have gone on to greater things. They probably moved to larger premises. They may have taken over other businesses. They're a bigger business, but you still have the initial contact or the person that replaced that particular contact. Bring all of these client details up to date. Who occupies that particular position now, for instance? Then remind them all over the next year, let's say. You can't do it straight off. It's too intrusive, but you do it over time. You remind them over the next year how good you are for their business, how good you've been, and that you can do it again. You can phone them, short, brief, unobtrusive phone calls to get a little bit of information out. You can mail them in the post. You can email them carefully. You've got to be careful here. Make sure it's business to business. Make sure you're sending your email to a particular person that is expecting your email. Otherwise, let's face it, the email won't be opened, and don't bombard them. You can even send them regular text messages. Now, when you have a contact, usually nowadays you get hold of not a landline, you usually get hold of a mobile number. And so long as there's a developing relationship, you can from time to time send them a little text to tell them about your latest plans or your latest projects or your latest offers. It does work because it's a little bit unusual. In fact, it's very unusual in our particular region. Further afield, it's quite common. You visit them. You allocate a short amount of time. You expect just to say hello, get the message across, and then go. Don't intrude on their time. Their time is usually more important than yours. So you've got to make sure that you go in, you make your pitch quickly, and then you go. You don't expect to be ushered in, sat down, and have a long meeting, because that's too intrusive. It's stealing their time, which, let's face it, it isn't fair. Send them examples of your best work. Romance them. They need to fall in love with you all over again. Now, the next thing, very, very important. Do you set aside time to develop your printmaking business and, let's face it, your image making business? A lot of your work nowadays never finds its way onto the printed page. It remains as a printed image that you're trying to sell for a premium price to make a viable, successful, profitable business. Do you allocate time to developing your business? Now, this is my rule. Outside of your leisure time, every single moment that you're not working on client jobs should be spent romancing old clients or making new clients fall in love with you. Now, let's make sure we get this right. I'm not suggesting that you use every minute of every day to the exclusion of your hobby time, to the exclusion of your family time, your valuable time, which is, let's face it, your payback. That's the good time. Sort out your leisure time. Make sure that you allocate plenty of time for your leisure and your hobbies and your family. But then outside of that most important time, you have your time that you're working in your business, creating the work, but then you then have other time, little bits of time, where you should be allocating those to contacting your old clients, renewing old relationships, livening up old relationships, and also doing what I call speed dating. Now, speed dating is doing the research, looking at your business, knowing where your business is coming from right now. Is it a particular area of industry? Is it in a particular geographic location? Do your research. Go to libraries. Nowadays, obviously, the internet is fantastic. An internet website is like an open door. What you can do is you can look at a particular target business. Let's say we really want to start doing work for, I don't know, let's really be ambitious. Let's say Ford Motor Company. Ford Motor Company, we want to start doing a little bit of business. We want to open that door. So we look at their particular, website, and we see that there's a particular publicity department. There is a phone number, but only a phone number of the main desk, the main phone board. You've got to get past the gatekeeper, so you phone them up, you find out where the publicity department is, and you try to get one phone number of the publicity department, and you then need to get hold of a name and a phone number, and you see what you're doing. You're just gradually opening the door slightly. Once you have one person, you have a little brief contact with them and then leave them alone, and then maybe in a week or a few weeks time you have another little conversation, and you build up a picture of how the publicity department operate, and perhaps you'll be lucky enough to get a few names, and then you gradually educate them, and you're dating them in a way. You're introducing your services to them, and gradually they know the sort of work you do, the work you've done in the past, and you gradually happen. Now, we're not just talking about one large multinational company. We're talking about trying to speed date quite a few of these businesses that at the moment you don't do business with. Now, one of my old tutors used to say to me, if you're doing business in a particular area, you think you're covering the whole marketplace. You're probably not. You're probably covering less than 1/10 of your possible potential market that you are capable of reaching. It's probably under 1/10. That means that more than 90% of them out there don't know about you. They're open for business, but they're giving business to your competitors. So you've got that as a challenge. You've got to try to exercise your speed dating so that you get out there, you introduce yourself, you show them the quality of your work, you show them the fact that you are competitively priced, and you are willing and you've got the energy to help them to develop their business. The idea is not to get them to help to develop your business. You're going to try to develop their business at a competitive in a competitive way. You're gonna display your talent, and you're going to share your talent to help them to develop their business. It's a win-win situation. But somebody has got to open the door first, and it won't be them. There's no such thing as a telephone that rings up with a fabulous new client out of the blue. We'd love it to happen, but you've got to make it happen. So speed dating is a good way of doing it. Now, you've got to become a people person. It's a people business that you're in, so you've got to really make sure that you get yourself out there. Now, for further commercial training, a lot of these little snippets that I've given you in this particular section is a tiny little bit, a little taster of what you can get in the next part, section 10, which is further study. we can go to the business of photography, which is eastparkphoto.co.uk. If you live in the UK, try to go to one of these day-long presentations. If you think this is quite interesting, you should go to Mark Lawrence's business of photography presentations. It's really fabulous. We're trying to persuade Mark to put a lot of his content online, and if you email Mark Lawrence at eastparkphoto.co.uk, if you can possibly attend one of his courses, it's fabulous. You don't just cover this, you go into great detail into your particular business, and it's a very, very good investment for you. I can't speak too highly of it. So what you do is you try to balance the desire for making fabulous images and fabulous prints with making sure that you make profit from these prints, and it helps you to develop your business. And these and more, these are the areas that probably most of us need to work on. Now, what we've covered so far touches on the commercial aspect of our business, which, as this is a course directed to professional photographic print workers, is an area that I could easily expand into a training course in itself. It's relevant to technique in so much as you mustn't allow your personal desire for the ultimate print to get in the way of your commercial priorities. Don't indulge yourself at the expense of your business, because without a viable business, you can't carry on your passion. As this course is primarily a technical presentation for colour print workers, let's get back now to talking about colour print criticism. Now, you've got this far. You're printing to a whole new level of quality. You think you've achieved a completely new level of image print fidelity, accuracy, purity of tone, which you thought you'd lost back in the darkroom. How can you be sure? When I look at a professional photographic colour inkjet print, this is what goes through my mind. This is the list, and let's get a print. This is our standard print, and you can get us to send you this print simply by emailing us at digital@marriott.com and give us your full postal address, and we'll send it out free of charge, or at digital@marriottusa.com if you're in the North American region, and we will send you this calibrated, accurate colour and black and white test print, and on here is a little link so you can download the same image yourself. Now, because this is a certified accurate, you'll be able to print out your own version. First thing you do is you check your own colour and density, but you can also check your monochrome accuracy, and you can also use this standard print with these reference images here to actually check what we're doing here. So first thing, am I achieving a good rich black? Really important. The most important colour when you're colour printing is a good rich black. Am I achieving a good rich black? You can compare it to the good rich black that we give you here. Are my whites crisp, clean and white? Now, with the exception of fine art printing, where you like to produce a particular tone as the backdrop of the image, in my opinion, pretty well all production printing, you do need a good, clean, crisp white. So you've got your extremities ready to work with. So you've got a good rich black and a clean white. There's no such thing as white ink at the present time. Having said that, I have heard of some rumours about white ink coming through. But at the moment, there is no white ink. We're relying on the white of the paper. So if your paper that you're using is not as white as the paper that we supply, all our paper comes from Germany, exclusively from the high-end paper mills in Germany, and they work fabulously well with with all professional photographic inks and OEM inks. This is our ink, the Merit Professional Photographic Inkjet ink. I would say that you'd save yourself, it would be, if you're printing on a desktop printer, using a professional photographic inkjet ink will save you, your cost on a desktop printer will be about 1/5 of what it is at the moment if you're using OEM brand inks. And on wide format printers, your cost will reduce to about 1/3 of what it is at the present time. So use a good quality inkjet ink, which comes with a custom profile, and use a good quality professional photographic inkjet paper. Now, we've done the blacks, we've done the whites. Are my saturated primary colours strong and accurate? Well, here we have red, green, blue, cyan, magenta, yellow and black. Now, not only must we have a good, strong, saturated colour, we want to see that it lifts off early and it graduates smoothly, and it also graduates in a linear fashion. Now, that means to say that that red up the top there, it graduates back to the white of the paper without going off into a colour tone. And the same for the green, the same for the blue, the cyan, the magenta, the yellow, the black. We could easily buy in much, much cheaper ink to brand as our own ink from China and from the Far East. We could easily do it, but we don't like to do that because we find that most of the inks out that way, it's just the way it happens to be. The best ink at the present time, in our experience, and this is only an opinion, tends to come from America, and it gives you this beautiful clarity of primary colour. It lifts off early and it gives you this linearity. We're constantly testing inks all day long. So we're looking for a true photographic professional characteristic, and this is it. Are my neutral tones really neutral? And if we get a nice neutral tone, so that's black, going up to the colour of the paper, and we get a nice linear grey going all the way up there. Linear means that it doesn't go off into a colour tone. We know that we can produce really good black and whites. In our next lesson, we're going to go into incredible detail with black and white printing, my personal favourite. So that's going to be the next lesson. Next one, are my pale flesh tones accurate? Well, we have a decent sized pale flesh tone here, which is super critical. If you're not getting your flesh tones right, really, really important. So we give you a very critical pale flesh tone for you to check the accuracy of your printer. You've got to be careful with pale flesh tones. If you're at a wedding, let's say, and the guests have just come off the dance floor and they're quite flushed, you take the print, you take the images and you print them out, and you think, well, all my flesh tones are flushed. And in the other way, they may have been waiting outside, waiting for the various shoots to the setups, and they might be cold. So your flesh tones might be cold. And by the time you get round to the image editing side of things, you've pretty well forgotten what the flesh tones are. So it's really important to have a printer that you can absolutely know that the flesh tones coming out of your digital camera, and they're being produced on your custom profiled, accurate, calibrated printer that's been checked regularly against your master. You know that your flesh tones are actually accurate. Do my prints look digital? Do they have a digital feel? Does your print look sort of over sharpened or otherwise over adjusted, over photoshopped? Does it look as if we're looking at a TV screen, which this is, of course? If it is, step back, go back to your origination, go back to your image that hasn't been image edited. See if you can get back to a true photographic feel. Number 8, is my print smooth, sharp, and does it have a true photographic feel? Which is good. This is all part of it. So we need to make sure that our production prints look beautifully, look pin sharp, but they look absolutely photographically smooth. This is getting back to a previous subject that we were talking about, which is not over sharpening and not over adjusting in Photoshop. Have I lost my depth of focus? have I adjusted so that I no longer feel that I've got a good 3D effect in my prints. The top left hand image here is of cherries against a hedge over the back there, and that really is a 3D print. So top left hand corner, if you're printing and those cherries really seem to be coming out at you, that indicates that your printer is capable of good depth. And if your images are not giving you good depth, you know then there's something for you to look at in your image itself. Next one, number 10. If your print image needs excessive image editing, why not just use another image in the same shoot? Sometimes you can get a situation where you get, let's say, a group shot, and one of the faces has moved slightly, and you're working and working and working to try and get this particular face back into focus. Well, it's not going to happen, let's face it. What you may be able to do is just look at the next image along, because you've followed the guidance that I've given you previously, where whenever you've got a lot of faces, you do quite a few duplicates. And you've got plenty of duplicates there. You've got another opportunity to pick out another image in the same region of the shoot, and you can say, well, no, that one's slightly better. Or, dare I say, at least you've got a face that you may be able to carefully clone onto your original image. You may be able to get away with it with care. I know people that can do it easily. I know other people that really, they shouldn't attempt it because maybe their skills aren't quite up to it. So you're either going to maybe clone, or you'll actually just decide to adopt an adjoining image. So if your image, if you feel that you need excessive image editing, find another way. Less Photoshop generally equals better print accuracy. So the less you have to do to an image, generally speaking, the better the output is likely to be. There's always exceptions, but that's my opinion. Number 11, if your print looks great, stop editing. Trust your own judgment. By all means, if you feel that you can enhance, please do so. Look at your print, don't trust your monitor. But generally speaking, when your print output looks great, stop editing and commit to that version. By all means, listen to your clients, listen to your fellow camera club members, listen to everyone who views your prints. Then make your own judgment. Go your own way to create your own unique image which reflects your own passion, your own message, your own creation, which when displayed will live on. It will convey your vision to hundreds, possibly thousands of individuals. It will outlast you and possibly more generations to come. A fabulous archival colour print sends a message forward into time. Never forget the significance of this amazing aspect of what we do. Thanks for watching.